How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Reveal Party with us tonight, and they can say their name and what they do in the band.
My name is Emily or Reveal Party, I guess, because I am the band.
Magic.
I'm the whole band.
The whole band. Well, thank you, Emily, for coming on. I do appreciate it. I feel like we've been friends for quite a bit, but this is the first time. It's a long-awaited interview, so always love that. But beyond the us being friends for quite a bit, I don't know too much about Reveal Party, which is probably a bad look on me, if more if anything else. But I wanted to know how that started out. How did you come up with the project? When did you start creating music under the name Reveal Party?
Um, I mean, for me, it was just what I was always doing.
Mm.
Just whatever music I was creating, I was playing under different shitty names that got progressively better. So I would always change my name because I was never satisfied with my name, like my artist names, and they just got progressively better. Progress. I can't speak.
You
I'm
were right. It
sorry.
was progressively. I got
It
you.
got it got better over time.
Yes.
That's what I'm trying to say. Um, I shouldn't use smart words if I'm not smart.
You got it.
Anyway, uh, but yeah, and then I ended up with Reveal Party at some point, and I thought like, damn, this is actually I don't hate this. And then I used that, and I mean, for a long time, it was just whatever I was writing was, whatever I was. And then I was out sometimes performing it just at like open mics and shit, acoustic guitar, open mic. I was doing that for a long time. But then I got a few more people involved in like playing the music live, which kind of elevated it a bit. And sort of then I sent some demos to like a really upcoming Danish label at the time, and they loved it and they wanted to
Oh,
release it. And then
nice.
the demo I sent them was actually the song "Real Girls," which you just told me before we started that you'd listen to.
I did. You're right. That is
Yeah,
correct.
but then I cheated them because I sent them that song, and it's very much maybe the most poppy song I've written. I think I've written two like quite pop songs, and they were like, "This is great, we'll sign you." And then the rest of the stuff I gave them was like way more like indie folk, and some of it sort of weird. It's not that I don't think I make really weird music, but in terms of like what's popular here in Denmark, it was very much not that. So, so yeah, and but then I had a label and we released an EP in 2020, and we tried kind of actually I tried to make it into a band for a while because the live members kind of became more and more involved. I tried to get them more involved in the writing and stuff as well, but it never really worked out. And I was kind of always stressed that they weren't putting as much time in it as I was. And they were
Fair
kind of
enough.
frustrated that I wasn't giving enough creative control to them. So we were both frustrated at the same time. Yeah. So then it
Impasse.
just, yeah, exactly. So then for a kind of like a year and a half, we tried that and it didn't really work. And then it became a solo project and has been that. I mean, it was that for the first 22 years of my life. And then it was again for the last 2 years. So
Full circle.
um, full circle. Yeah. But I still have a live like band that I played with. And it's still some of the original members from that attempt I had before. So I have like a 6-person live setup, but I still play lots of solo shows. I play trio shows. I got to be ready for all the different budgets so I can make my money.
She's on point. Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think that's awesome. I did not know there was so much variation to, Reveal Party, but it's good to know you're malleable, like you can do a solo show or you can have a show with 6 members in it and it's all going to sound like, obviously within reason, Reveal Party in
Yeah.
some way.
But I've always like, I've had this decision made a long time ago that whatever it sounds like live is just whatever it sounds like live, and I don't have to live up to anything in terms of whatever the songs sound like when they're recorded. So I actually completely give up on that. I don't try at all. So like if you see the solo show, it is like that sort of like bar type acoustic show where I do like stand up comedy half the time. I'm like telling jokes, and the songs are so sad, so it doesn't make any sense. But but it but it has like this sort of thing where like since the songs are so fucking depressing. Can I say that? Is that
Yeah, oh yeah.
something? Can I swear on you?
It's
Sorry.
all right. It's all good.
Great.
I make the joke all the time, and I will continue to die on this hill. I will make $0 from doing YouTube, so we're gonna continue that trend of making no money on YouTube. So thank you, Emily.
Great. That sounds great.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
but
Yeah, you go ahead.
I just, the songs are so sad, like it'll be like just depressing stuff, and then I'll tell a joke right after, and people will laugh because they are not expecting me to be funny, and then when I am, it's much more funny. Like it's like, and just the shock of it is funny in itself, and it's like it gives the room like a bit of space to breathe,
Sure. Yeah.
which makes people be able to listen more afterwards. Like, because they're like, they just got, because you're sitting there listening to however many minutes of music. I have ADHD. I don't know what's, I can't do that. Something has to happen. So I like when stuff happens, and I can like, do something else, laugh a little bit, and then I'm ready to listen again, be sad. I like that contrast between it, and I do that with all of the shows, but I get to do it the most with the solo shows because I have more time. I feel to just fuck around. So I really enjoy those shows, but then the band shows, they're more, indie rock, and we keep it that sound, like because when I record the music, it's all like I'll use anything. I'm never thinking of a live setup. I'm just like, what's a cool way this song is
You just
supposed to
throw it.
sound, and it can, yeah, just throw anything at it. I'm playing the singing saw. I'm playing with the bow on the acoustic guitar so it sounds like a cello. I'm doing all sorts of shit and synthesizers, and it's all over the place also genre wise. But then when we do play it with a full band, it's very stuck to the fact that we have two electric guitars, we have a bass, we have drums. I'm usually on my acoustic or on keys, and then we have a person on keys who does backing vocals and percussion. And we talked for a while trying to like, should we, for a specific songs, should we like do other instrumentation? Like, should
Sure.
we
Yeah.
bring other instruments to make it feel more like those songs? But I think it has a vibe of its own that it's just like now you're just listening to an indie rock band, and all the songs has to like fit that mold. So and the same for the trio where we're also acoustic guitar and then the synth and vocal girl and then electric guitarist. And then it becomes more melodic and so I really like that it has that potential for a lot of variation, which also just means I'm a great songwriter. you know, I don't know. People tell me that when I'm like able to do that. I don't know. If you just force it, it'll happen.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I don't
confidence
know.
is key here, and I think Emily's got it well in droves. So, if that wasn't clearly evident, go check out Emily's project Reveal Party. You'll get anything from acoustic awesomeness to, plus a stand up comedy show to like indie rock mayhem. So that's I feel like if I lived in Denmark, I would be going out and buying a ticket right now. So. Just saying. If you live in Denmark, I don't have any say in Denmark economy or anything, but I'm just telling you that gives me I give it Emily the two thumbs up of approval. I think that sounds like well in my wheelhouse. But I do like the fact that a comment you made earlier about just like having jokes. like after you write, really in your term of phrase, a sad fucking song, and then you hit somebody with a a joke afterwards. I think that's nice, because I think it subverts your expectation of like, man, this is depressing as fuck, and then you're like, but also like, how did chicken cross the road? Asking the real questions out here. That's so. I feel like
Yeah, yeah.
it's nice.
And I also have like specific jokes I keep going for. I can do one of them right
Go on
now.
ahead, shoot one out.
So like, because I have this mic stand right here,
Oh my god,
and I'll often, yeah, I'm ready.
you're ready.
I'll often let's see if we can do the practical joke here.
Okay.
So I'll do like an instance. Imagine I just played a song and like,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's really sad, and then I'm like,
All
I'm
right. I'm real
standing
sad
there
now.
and I'm just like, so I have this reoccurring nightmare where I'm playing this show and and I keep fighting with this mic stand. And it's the first show. It's the first show I'm inviting this girl I really like to, and I'm really anxious and I just can't get I can't get this fucking mic stand to work. Um, and then I keep playing the show or I don't play the show because I'm just fighting with this mic stand. And then this guy comes up and he's like, Emily, you have to go. The show you spent all the time, you know, fighting with this mic stand. So you gotta go. And anyway, this is a breakup song. Now I'll kick into a breakup song.
That was great. Kudos. This is the
I
type
do it better
of.
live, but
No, that was
you,
great.
you get the idea.
That was I didn't ask Emily to do this, but she did it. So kudos. Listen, if anybody is gonna do a bit, usually you would expect that from me, but it's nice to know it's nice to know that my guests can also do bits. Because that's awesome. Love that. Love to
Yeah,
see
I
it.
should have prepared more bits
You
now
should
with
have.
all this
Yeah,
appreciation.
it's all
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I'll make sure to PayPal you later for the bits. But but I no, I that's great. I love when people have like that playful banner on stage, especially if they're like writing really like sad stuff. You're like, man, like I would be so sad if somebody just like played a bunch of sad songs and they just continue to be sad on stage. It's like I like when you just throw that
Yeah.
like deprecating humor in there. You're like, it's nice. It's a nice change of pace. So
Yeah, and I think, I mean, concerts can also be for crying, and I think they there's still the space for that because it actually creates like really unique sort of feeling
mhm,
um, when you've just laughed together collectively, and then now you're really focused on something that's actually really depressing. It can be really cathartic, but it's also nice that there's like a sort of sense that no matter how sad the stuff I'm writing about, like because I have like even like suicide songs and about those sorts of topics, but I'm
mhm.
still here laughing on stage about it, and I think that's actually something that's quite important as well. That sort of this feeling that we're going to be all right in the end or whatever, which makes it even more sad or like not sad, but like makes the tears flow and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
I think
But
that's quite beautiful.
I appreciate your honesty on that because I think sometimes, like, especially with topics that are heavy, like suicide, like that's such a sad thing that if you're able to kind of correct it in that way where like people can be honest with their emotions, I think that's such a great thing. So I got to give you kudos for that because sometimes riding that line of like being honest and also like talking about something serious and then kind of trying to do the 180 and just being like, yeah, so suicide, right? Like that's a like it's a way of looking at it or framing it in a way that seems like, okay, like, yeah, this is a terrible thing that people experience. But I also feel like it's a way that you can kind of maybe lighten the situation and be like, well, you can get through it. Like if I'm still here and
Yeah.
I'm able to live my life, in a positive way, then that's what's going to happen. So I appreciate that because I think sometimes like we talk about these things in a really serious tone all the time, and sometimes it's warranted, but also at the same point it's like
Yeah.
if you can make it a little bit more lighthearted and have it not be as like depressing as you would imagine it to be, I think that's always a nice change of pace. So I got to give you kudos for walking the line of being able to say something like that because that's difficult.
Yeah, and also because I take it quite seriously in the song.
Sure.
So when I'm like playing the song, you still get to have those emotions and share in that and like feel seen in that. Like I don't want to take that away from anyone who's like cried to this song, like
Sure, sure, sure.
like in their room or like I don't know about that. I don't want to take it away from me who's cried in my room writing the song as well, and but so I still have that space for it. Like yesterday, I just played a show yesterday, which was one of these solo shows
Mhm.
where I got to like fuck around a bit more, and it was really fun because I've tried some new stuff because I've been doing this thing where when I'm playing a full band show, I'll jump off stage, and usually when the lead singer does that, you're expecting some sort of really hype situation where like
That's
you'll
true.
like
Yeah.
have where you're expecting to be moshing or whatever, like
Yeah.
really like yeah, let's
Yeah, let's go.
get it or whatever. But I like to be a little bit weird. So I and unexpected. So I jump off stage often with the full band, and I'll like turn around and I'll just look at the show and like see the rest of my like I'm an audience member now, enjoying the show that my band is doing. I think that's really funny, first of all, but it also creates a kind of nice space where you as an audience, I think you get to think a little bit about like sort of how we project ourselves on stage and like sort of who's the audience, who's the and
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
can I just come here and like look at this person be sad on stage and like enjoy that as entertainment, but now I'm enjoying it, and it's this thing that I really like to do, but I can't really do solo because then I'm looking at nothing.
I
um
feel like I would
but
challenge you to do that. That would be interesting.
yeah. But my way of doing it yesterday, I tried jumping off stage, and I actually just unplugged my guitar. And because the room was also, I think it was like a show for like 50 people in a kind of cafe type setting. It was really cute. Um, so if I played loud enough, people could hear it completely acoustically.
Oh,
So I
nice.
did
Okay.
that where and then I walked around playing the song acoustically. I even like the bar had like one of those swing doors, and I like kicked the door in and like went up to the
Wow.
bar people and were like, hey, and like
Full
went
rocker
out
mode.
and like walked around everyone. And that was a fun way of doing that. And I forgot, I feel like I had a reason for telling all of this. Um, yeah, I guess I just like that unexpected feeling, but that it's still like you get to if you just get sad, 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 you become numb to it, and
Sure.
it doesn't
Yeah.
mean anything. And you can say like the saddest thing. Like I love emo. Emo is like one of my favorite genres. Like indie rock and emo is like what I love. I
Sure.
became an emo girl like in my 20s, though I was never an emo kid, but I became one.
Yes.
Um, but I love those records when I want to dwell in that sadness. But also the records I love the most are the ones that kind of play with it a little bit and have that dynamic. I think when it's too like the whole time, I lose myself a little bit because it becomes too much and I can't actually deal with that much. You become numb to it. Whereas
Sure.
like
Yeah.
if you have punchy lines once in a while and then mix it with other stuff, more mundane stuff, I think it actually hits a bit more. Um, for me, I mean, obviously all music is subjective, but that's something I appreciate. So I like to do that as well, having that sort of, sometimes even having humor. Like I have this breakup song called Wish I Could Hold You, which is every verse is like, I'm doing this, but I wish I could, you know hold you, or I'm running and owning up to my mistakes, and I wish I could show you. And um, you know, you're at your happiest when I don't interfere, but I wish I could call you. I bought your vibrator to sort of keep you here. Just wish I could fuck you. So I have like that thrown in, and then it's like back to the sad indie stuff right after. So you get a little bit of funny, a little bit of, you
Yeah.
know,
I think no, and I agree with you, Emily. I'm in the same camp where it's like I feel when you do listen to a lot of sad songs, it just you do become numb to that sort of like thought process. You're like, man, this really sucks. Life sucks. I hate life. Life's the worst. But if you listen to a
yeah,
song where you're like, life sucks, and you're like, I had the best moment of my life yesterday, and then it's another song, life sucks again. It's just like it just seems
yeah,
more realistic. It's like, oh yeah,
yeah,
like I was talking about it in the interview I did today, which would be the one you would watch before this one. So, yeah, thanks for sticking around. But I was talking about how music is this way of like you're not like there's always going to be a song for a certain situation, and I feel like if you just have a bunch of sad songs, you're just going to feel like shit all the time because that's like the type of stuff you put in your head. But
mm,
life isn't always like that. You're gonna have days where you fucking hate living, and there's gonna be days where you're like, this is the best. I love life's rad. Like and you could have 5 days worth of a stretch of having nice days, and you can have like a whole month where it's all shitty. Like that's
yeah,
just how it is. And so I feel like music is that way of, at least for me, and I'm maybe also maybe speaking for you a little bit, Emily, but like I feel like music is that way of coping with those types of terrible things that happen with your life. There's a song that could be again about a breakup that can be sad, or it could also be humorous in that way of kind of cheering you up and being like, listen, dating sucks, but like here we are still doing it, or
yeah,
you lose someone in your life and that's sad, or you get married or something and that's like a happy situation. So it's like there's plenty of things to like feel within a different situation, and I'm glad that your music doesn't cap off at just being like, okay, I can write really depressing songs and that's all I can do. I'm glad that you
yeah,
infuse humor, happiness, all this sort of stuff within your music, because I think for me it's going to be a more enjoyable listening experience having someone that has experienced a bunch of different things but also has experienced the type of sadness they feel in their life sometimes.
yeah. I agree. I think there's also I used to fall into this so much, and I probably still do to some extent, that I've listened to so much sad music, and it would also be just whatever I put on at any given moment would be extremely sad. Even if I wasn't sad, it would just be like I was just, the artist I was listening to was just in this space, and that means like if I had a happy day, I would still be putting on an album that was sad on the way to like meeting up with a friend, and then I'd get sad on the way. Like sometimes, like not necessarily so directly, but I think sometimes you can get too obsessed with um depressing music. I think
Hmm.
there's kind of sometimes for a lot of music enjoyers, there's a tendency to get a little bit addicted to that sadness in a way that's maybe not entirely healthy, which is not good for me to say because I'm making my money off of it. so, so I hope no one else realizes this. It's probably not good for your mental health to be listening to so much depressing shit.
That
Um,
I don't think you could have nailed. I don't think you could have nailed it on the head any more than that. Oh man, I think you are
yeah,
simultaneously expecting people to listen to your music, but also just like, listen, I'm making a lot of money off you guys. I just want to let you know, you're really sad. You're gonna continue to listen to my music, so enjoy that shit. But also, like, don't be sad. But if you are sad,
yeah,
listen to Real Reveal Party out now. Pick it up.
yeah. Out now. Favorite person. That sounds like a good title, right? That's like a happy.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
happy
yeah.
album.
I want to
Yeah,
subvert anybody's expectation.
yeah. It's just about a
It's just a
favorite
person.
person,
Yeah,
and that I love so much, and
yeah.
nothing bad happens. Yeah,
Emily's my
No,
favorite
I don't
person
know.
now.
Aw, thank you.
You're
That
welcome.
was a really cute interview so far. Having lots of fun.
I love
Also, like I have to do Danish interviews all the time, but I'm like way funnier in English, so it's a constant burden I have to fight. Um,
Do you feel like the Danish doesn't come? Do you feel like your humor doesn't come across in Danish?
I'm such an internet kid, and so I just grew up on American entertainment, and I don't know any Danish references. I never watched Danish TV. I don't know what's happening in Danish society, but I live here and I grew up here. Um, and I don't know how everyone else knows all these things, but I feel like they know something I don't. And I know a lot of things they don't then about like so I always like am hanging out constantly with like like different groups of people who are usually not Danes. I also have Danish friends, but like I have lots of different friends, which is actually not super common here. It's quite people are quite like tight knit in their own social circles. They don't really expand outwards, which is also why a lot of people come here, immigrants or like um, expats or whatever. Like they usually always talk about how hard it is to make friends with other like with Danish people. It's usually like expats being friends with expats or
Mm,
something like that, and I try to. It's also because there's this tendency that people will speak English because Danish people are pretty good at English, but then they'll switch to Danish as soon as the one person who speaks English like leaves for a second. But then when the person comes back, they'll still be talking Danish, and you'll have to like make the switch every time, and it's a quite frustrating experience. And I dated also like had a relationship for 3 years that was like English speaking only and just many friends. So I'm always the Dane in the room being like, oh, let's speak English for this person because it's it's more awkward to be the English speaking person saying it for yourself. So but anyway, so I sometimes feel a little bit on the outside in terms of like not really understanding the cultural references here, and so because I also you think differently in different languages. I don't know how do you speak different
I
languages?
no, I'm one of those dumb Americans that only speaks English. So yeah,
Right, but
maybe a little Spanish,
fair
but
enough.
that's not very good. Not very good at the Spanish.
No,
Don't people in the comments don't ask me to speak Spanish. I'm not going to be very good at it. In fact, I'll out myself and I would probably Google translate it for you. So that's it. All I need is Google
right.
now.
Is that so? Spanish for you is like you get that in school as well, right?
Yes, well, I
Like,
mean, I feel like you should learn Spanish in school. I didn't learn very much Spanish, if I'm going to be honest. So it's not very good. But my best friend, shout outs to my friend Jeffrey. He is his mother and him as well are very like fluent in Spanish. So like he would try
mm,
to like we when we were in Spanish class together, he would just be like miles ahead of everybody else since he would speak Spanish to his mom, and yeah, I'm just not very good at it. I just realized immediately from the start, like I can't practice Spanish with like my parents or my sister, so like not
yeah,
not even gonna try it.
I have the same thing with German because we had German in school, but I'm very terrible at it. Um, but I actually a lot of the people I hang out with that I speak English with are also Spanish speakers first from all sorts of countries. There are loads of them, but a lot of the Latin American countries but also just people from Spain. There's just
Mhm.
a, a whole group of people that I met who were all like really musically interested and super talented, but because they have that language barrier, there's just no one's picking up on it in like Danish media and stuff, and they get to like they're on this like outside of culture in a way. There's a lot of racist stuff going on as well in this
Mm.
country, which is
Wouldn't
it's
know.
quite subtle.
I'm
Yeah, it's quite subtle because it's quite different racism, I think, than the U.S. one. Like it's more subtle kind in some.
yeah.
I didn't want to get into this topic. This is a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's I just will
As a
say
white person, I'm not
racist.
gonna go much further
No
into
good.
this.
No good. You listen, as someone who is
Yeah,
an American but is obviously very very much Asian complexion, I can say racism 2 thumbs down. No good. Don't like
two
it.
thumbs down.
2 thumbs down. 0 out of 10
Yeah,
would recommend to people.
no, yeah,
Don't do it.
yeah. I don't have anything more to say.
No, we
Sorry, it
we
was
killed it. Emily, we killed it. Virtual high five. We killed it. Racism
solved it right
eliminated
there.
in both date.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
single-handedly
but it's
defeated
just
racism. It's great.
I think, yeah, I think so too. Great.
Just with this interview alone, it's great. Salutes. I
But
don't know.
I think my point was just that like it's weird to when you speak different languages, you think differently
Sure,
about
yeah.
everything. Like the way you say words very much influences your pattern of thinking. And it since I wrote all my music in English, in that I was also in that space while making it, and then it's kind of frustrating having to talk about it so much with Danish media because they want me to do it in Danish, but I'm a kind of like somewhat a different person than who wrote this that then has to talk about it, and that's a little bit weird. So I really enjoyed. That's also why I really wanted to do this interview
Oh, thank you.
because I don't get to do as many English speaking things, but I feel it's more natural for me to talk about the record in this way. I also am always speak English live. I just consistently do it, but also because there's always a member or two in the audience who don't understand Danish. So
Sure, yeah.
because so I want to be inclusive, but also just it feels more natural to me. So I always just insist on doing it. And then everyone comes up to me afterwards and are like, "Are you American?" This whole thing.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad you could get this dumb American to have you on the show. So
I'm
I'm
happy
just
to be
outing
here.
myself, honestly, which is great. So,
Should we
you
play
know,
geography questions?
geography. Which state are you from,
Sorry.
Emily? No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. Then
Yeah, but I'm bad at U.S. states. Like that's so because I feel like Europeans have this smugness about the fact that Americans don't always know where European countries are, but then we don't know where states are in the U.S. Like I know where the U.S. is, and I know where the important states are, but I can't mention all of them.
you're right.
So
Yeah.
goes both ways.
I love geography, so I feel like for me, like I know where they're at, but and also like I should probably try to, as a funny joke, and maybe I might wind up doing it with with Emily's thing, but I feel like I should do one of those geography test things for like Europe, like countries. So if you want me to do that, hit the thumbs up, and maybe I'll do it.
I think you should point to Denmark on a map so we people know where I am.
I'll do it. I'll do it on post brand, and we'll find a map, and then I'll be like, "Here's
I
Denmark."
hope the thumbnail can be like
There's just
pointing to the map, and it's just not Denmark. It's
it's
just
not Denmark. I just
yeah,
point to
you got your
Italy.
thumbnail right there. Yeah,
I couldn't do that. I feel like I would. Oh, I think I would single-handedly offend everybody that watches my show in Denmark, and also simultaneously offend Italians. So, not trying to do that.
yeah, yeah.
So I'll just
But you get to have those clickbaity YouTube headline thumbnails, so
I'll point to Russia. That's
yeah,
really where it's at. No.
yeah,
I'm not good. We're getting off the geography topic just in case
yeah. Let's do it.
for the sheer fact that we might open up a can of worms, and that's not good. So I really want this interview to do well for Emily, so I don't want to I don't want to cause any controversy. So, you know,
Any
even though
international conflict.
I don't want this to be the start of the international battle right now. But as I mentioned to Emily at the top of the show, I did listen to her newest song, "Real Girls," and I thought it was great. I loved it a lot. And then also for you to mention that that was the most poppy track on the album, I feel like an absolute moron for not checking out, favorite person, her new album, which you can get right now. Links in the description. Go purchase it, please. Help my friend Emily. That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. She's my favorite person now. So is that good promo, Emily?
That's great promo. That's
uh,
great promo. And if
okay.
it we'll cut it out and I'll add it to my we'll do like a I'll do a post with all the positive things said about the album. And the top one will be I haven't listened to it yet, but I love it.
I haven't listened to it, but it's
From you.
great.
Yeah, I'll cut exactly that line
Okay,
and I'll put
great.
it
I love it.
at
Thank
the
you.
top. Yeah.
I'm sure I'm not gonna get canceled from that
I
at
might
all.
actually do that. I feel like that would be really funny. So I'll write to you about that later.
I can't wait to get wait to get absolutely memed out of existence now. Brandon says he listens to the album, but he actually didn't, and he said it was
Oh
great. So
no.
how would he know if it's great or not if he hasn't listened to it? So true questions
Yeah,
asked
well, you
by
heard one song. You heard one song.
yeah, yeah.
But all of them are quite different. It's such a I'm going many different directions with it. I was quite inspired by a lot of different records making this one. Um, but in terms of the genre thing, it was very much also. I mean, I was always doing this writing just in totally different directions. I think but always like with a consistent theme. Like it's a concept record. If that's not very obvious, it's very conceptual in the
Okay.
way that um I played around with this idea that the individual tracks wouldn't have choruses, but the album would. So it has a lot of like melodies and sentences that come back, or like little even vocal melodies, but also even instrumental melodies that are in some tracks and then come back on other tracks and stuff like that. And it's not like there aren't any choruses on the record, but out of 19 tracks, I think around 6 of them have choruses.
Wow.
Which isn't, so I'm not trying to be super like that's also like it's alternative music for Denmark. I don't think it's that alternative in the U like in I don't know. I don't know. Just for people who are more enthusiastic with music, I don't think it's that alternative, but I think the structure of it might be,
It is,
because it's
yeah,
so
I would say.
common to have choruses. So I have very different structures, and I think I have more of the just A B, that I have one part and then another part. That's more of that's my pop structure
Yeah.
on this record. But it was just also to try it, and this idea with like these really short tracks that kind of play into each other. So most of them, I don't think I'm looking at it right now, but I don't think there's one track that's over 4 minutes, and it's 4 minutes and 4 seconds.
Wow.
Everything else is 3 or below, and a lot of them are around that 2.5, 3 minute range. So they come in, do the idea, kind of go out, and then the idea comes back like 6 tracks later, and then again 4 tracks after that, and like similar things like that. And so I really wanted to play around with that, which was actually quite inspired by the Brave Little Abacus
Okay.
second record, because I think they also really do that with having parts that come in and like kind of it's almost kind of musical esque, but I just love that shit, and if you can make it work on a record like this, I think that's always I get way too emotional when something comes back and it's like the same words, same melody, but like a different instrumentation, and it's in a new context because the songs before I thought a lot about the transitions, a lot of them blend together, and the first 3 tracks are in the same key, and then the next 4 tracks are in the same key, and then
Hmm.
I do a lot with the keys and like having so really I could have also divided it into probably 10 tracks, and it would have made sense in a way, like that as well. And then with the genre thing, I was really inspired by like the 1975,
Oh,
um,
okay.
and sort of their not newest record now, but the one from 2020, the Notes on a Conditional Form, which was so like every song was a different genre, and I was already kind of doing that But hearing that record was really one of my favorite records from the last long time. And I just love how that was done on the record, and wanted to do really kind of lean into what I was already sort of doing, but really lean into it with this album, doing the different genres and different instrumentation. It doesn't do it as drastically. I kind of have a thing where the record starts in a very more kind of acoustic,
Mhm,
folky
mhm,
place, and then it moves and it becomes a bit more electric and noisy, and then it
mm.
becomes more um, poppy and electronic. That's the real girls part.
Yes.
And then it goes into noisy again, but not electric, but more electronic noisy.
Hmm,
But
okay.
so similar to the poppy, but then more noisy again. And then it goes back kind of into the acoustic and ends with a acoustic piano as the kind of last track. So it has that sort of kind of arc to it, and a circle. So you can also, because I learned so much on the record, I'm like learning about breakups and like being misunderstood as like a person of many identities that I am, like autism and ADHD and being a trans person and a lesbian. I get throwing identities out there, but just being like misunderstood quite often because of many of those things, and fighting quite hard to be understood. And then I learn a lot of things about self-love and all these things, and then the final track I like give up on all of it, and I go, I could be whatever you want is the
Hmm.
title of the track, where I go like, I could be your home, leave you free to roam, I could be whatever you want, and sort of learn all these good things about self-love, but in the end I throw them all away to mold myself into whatever thing this person wants me to be, if they'll just like stay and love me. So quite depressing ending. You know. Um, but yeah, that's a quick kind of rundown of that record. But actually, the first track I think is almost the final track in a way, because the first track, "Break," um, starts with this line. It's the first thing I say on the record is "the end." That's the first thing I
Wow,
say,
what a
and it goes
literal full circle moment. You have to go through the entire album and then start the album again for it to end.
exactly. So the first track is actually the last track I wrote. But since the rest of the record was so depressing, this track is kind of the most hopeful one in a way, because I'm like, the end feels far away now, which is also like a kind of a suicide-y thing, that I'm not feeling those things anymore. Like, but also this is the first line on the record, the end feels far away now. So because because we need to go through this whole record to get to here, you know. And then the fear of living by myself isn't so crushing now. So I'm not really certain about it, because I'm like, isn't so crushing now. So like right now it's not so crushing, but and but it's kind of the happiest the record gets. Like I give up on a few things, but I'm also like, I'm alive in that giving up. Like I feel safe here, where this person can't touch me anymore and like hurt me anymore, basically, and I can live in my little box and be safe, which you sometimes have to do, to
Yeah.
fight your way out of it again. So so that's kind of cute, and I'm gonna do a whole live record. Where because we're going on tour in April in Denmark, and I've been actually going out playing shows internationally. I was just in London this
Oh,
beginning of this month,
nice.
and played in the Netherlands at Eurosonic Festival, which is like the
Oh, very
second
sick.
biggest industry festival, like after South by Southwest. So getting just got a German label as well. So we're pushing those things. We're trying to get to. I've played in Norway a few times. So also I have U.S. plans, but I will not share them yet.
There you go. Well, listen, keeping you in suspense, love to
Yeah,
see it. But
but so we're doing this April tour in Denmark, and that's going to be a full band, and we're going to play the whole record from start to finish. And
wow.
and then we're going to do a live session as well and record the whole thing with video, and also going to release that on Spotify and stuff. And actually, for that one, since the first track break, it really changed a lot with the band, and the original version of the record is quite acoustic solo type thing. The
Mhm.
band version turned out to be quite big thiefy. Um, but so we're going to play the band version as the first track, and then I'm actually after the final track, I'm going to play Break alone by myself.
Oh.
Um, so it will also be the ending for the live thing, which I think will be beautiful. We haven't completely practiced it yet, but I think it'll be beautiful.
I have faith it'll be really cool. I like
Yeah.
I like the concept, I think going through it, obviously, again, to put my, 2 cents out there, I have not listened to the full thing yet, so I feel like I'm just speaking out my ass a little bit. But, uh, I think for me, like, uh, Real Girls, I was like, "This is fun," like, it doesn't it doesn't seem like as depressing if you think about it. Like you're listening to the song, you're like, "Oh, the melodies are great, like the musicality of it's great." And I feel like whenever I listen to a song, that's kind of the first thing that I pick out, not necessarily like the sad lyrics. That's usually when I dive a little bit deeper and get into more of the understanding of the song. So I think for me on surface level, like it was very like a very good track, and I think it doesn't really give me a full picture of Reveal Party as a project. So obviously, I will listen to the full thing and then put some notes here on the screen of my thoughts on
I
it.
mean, I'd love to come back maybe once we release the live record or something like that, and we could talk about it. And I'd love to hear your full thoughts on the record
We can do that. Absolutely,
because
Emily.
it's been really fun to have this interview.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And I feel like for me, it's like, I appreciate the fact that the album itself, like again, how you explain it, where you're going through all these different things, and then the way that it recycles back to the beginning. I think it just gives me that sort of like repeat value of like listening through the album and having that sort of experience and really obviously I am not transgender, I'm not a lesbian, I'm not any of the things that you mentioned prior to this, so I feel like for me it's like those are experiences that I obviously have not dealt with in my life, but I think there's anything relating to music, at least for me, is there are stuff that I think I could take away from it. I think the things that I take away from your music is like, I've been in depressing spots in my life. I've felt like unwanted in some ways, and so I feel like those are commonalities that I can feel towards your music, even though, again,
Yeah,
maybe I haven't been in your specific position before, but I think there are things that you have experienced that I've also experienced as well. And I like to find the commonality that I feel within what I go through in my daily life and kind of see how that musically lines up with someone else. And I think that's what I, kind of stress in a lot of my interviews is like, you know, music is very much a universal language where it doesn't really matter if you speak German, if you speak French, English, whatever,
yeah,
like you're going to have those emotions that are felt within a song, and you can have that resonate with you, and maybe hope to help you come to terms with some of those demons in your life. And so obviously I hope the next Reveal Party album isn't as depressing, just for your own sanity. I hope, unless you like writing that stuff, then you might be a slight bit
the thing,
sadistic, but
yeah, the thing is also that I actually wrote the second album. I actually wrote before this album, so I already have the second album written, and I'm gonna record it this summer. So, but I don't wanna push too much stuff out at the same time. I don't
sure.
want to. I want the albums to breathe. So I'm gonna give at least a year in between records. Also because there's gonna be the live record, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it some time. But but I wrote this whole other record, which was much more about my sort of coming out and transness as a theme. Um, I wrote that back in 2019 when I did come out. Wrote a whole record about it. I thought it was really good. I still think it's really really good. But I didn't really have the skills to produce it in the way
Sure.
that I wanted to. I was at the time I was a much better songwriter than I was a producer, and I think at this time now it's evened out a little bit more. Um, because I've spent more time producing since then, basically. And I have a few more people I produce with now.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I still produce a lot of it myself, but I have specifically one person whose artist name is Atushi, who I produce sort of a lot of it with. Or it's often where I'll write a song and produce the core of it, and then I'll bring it to him, and he'll help me make that like last 10-20%, which is often the
Awesome.
hardest for me to do.
Yeah.
Like usually the last 10-20% of a song is what's going to take me 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So bringing it to him has been really really useful for me. So I don't want to underplay it how much it means. The last part of it is super important, and that's been really really nice that to do. But then I still feel like I have a control over what it sounds like because I've done the beginning part of it, which is important to me since the songs are so personal.
Sure. Yeah.
But so there's this whole other record. So I kind of procrastinated um, with creating that album that I'd written, and then I made an EP, and then I made 3 EPs, which is now this record. Um, and and the next record, that record I wrote in 2019, I'm going to record it with a live band, so it's going to have that indie rock sound. We're going to go to a studio for a week's time and just punch it out once we're done with this tour. We've played a lot of the songs before, but we're going to practice the rest of them and get it down. So yeah, and that one's I think even more depressing. Sorry,
Well,
but I'm actually
I'm
writing
hoping
more
for
happy
better
stuff
things.
these days. Yeah, yeah, I'm writing more happy stuff these days. So so hopefully third or fourth review party record will be a super
Okay,
happy record.
listen, I'm not asking for a super happy record. I'm just expecting it to just be like a normal sense of sadness, happiness, and just want
Yeah,
regularity for your life, Emily.
thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
also had a thought about what you were talking about, like also like because for me, like so much of the music I've listened to, being a person who has grown up and listened to so much like indie rock and folk and emo and stuff,
Hmm.
like so much of the stuff I've listened to has always been from the perspective of like I guess like sort of whiny male, like white people, like, which I got the white down, but not really the other stuff. Um, but that's always been um, so relatable to me because I think there's stuff in the way that I guess like I don't know like the way that some of these men have felt rejected in dating or in also in different aspects in their lives that also relates to a person like me who has experienced maybe similar things but from another perspective, and so who are like just feeling misunderstood. I think there's a lot of this, like this stuff that's like from the perspective of also maybe not necessarily neurotypical people, and or at least people with anxiety or depression or these sorts of things. That's often the topics that then are written about because you're not writing about also of other things, and that's relatable to me. And then that those are the parts you latch onto.
Oh yeah.
So so relatability is so many different things, and I actually there's this really beautiful thing that I think happens to a lot of my shows when I play for different people. The people who come up, I'm always in the merch stand after the show. I'm
There
a
you go.
total merch stand person. I love that shit. It comes with the territory, of like playing your acoustic guitar, getting your merch stand, you know, I love that. But the people who come up to me at the merch stand, the people who buy the most, are like, sometimes it's young people, like young queer people, come up and are really moved by it, but they don't usually buy that much, which is fine because they don't have money. Um, it's fine; they don't have to buy
Now they're
anything.
gonna
But the
buy a
people who come
lot.
up and but the people who come up and are moved enough to say hi and like want to talk to me and really show their appreciation and tell me that, are often either like the young queer people, or it's actually very often it's like 50 plus year old like white men who come up to me
Wow.
and are like really moved by the music, because so much of it has that sort of 90s callback as well, that they immediately understand the music and they love that, but then they don't necessarily understand like me as a person, as an identity. But they immediately understand like whatever feelings I'm having, and because the music conveys that in a way they're used to. And I think that's quite beautiful, that I have a lot of sort of fans of that age who also will comment whenever I release something, or like buy a t-shirt. And like there was this guy yesterday who bought a t-shirt and I was like, oh, we're also going on tour. And he was like, yeah, I follow on the Facebook. And you know, I love that. And these are like, I have had multiple people talk about like how like they had never met a trans person before, and they didn't, you know, you get terrifying things in the media, you know,
Oh
like
yeah.
people are like, there's some real crazy stuff being said out there, but you know, and then they just, and then if they've never met a person, like that's gonna, you know, do crazy things to you. But then they just see me performing and it feels like the most natural thing. And that really does something for their perspectives, I've noticed. And I think that's, you know, something I think is really cute. It's not necessarily my mission, you know, I'm just trying to make stuff that I care about, but it's really
Sure.
cute that it can have that effect, you know. And it's that, or like trans people. I get a lot of trans women as well who are really moved by it. But I'm also one of the only trans women in Danish music, like on a professional level.
Wow. Okay.
Um,
Kudos.
so yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, yeah, it's not really that a good of a thing.
I I didn't mean it in like a bad way. I was just like, yeah, that's awesome.
No, no,
Great.
yeah.
You're like, yeah, trans
One
people,
of the other
great.
ones, yeah, yeah. I mean, my guitarist is also a trans woman, and she
Oh,
is now
nice.
also playing in other bands. So it's also like, and I've been really trying like with my band to hire, because you know I'm a boss too in a way, you know, like I employ people in my band. And so I am in a lot of these forums that talk about like women in music or like minorities in music and all these things, and super important topics. And it's really distorted. That equality is really not there.
Yeah.
So it's important to talk about. But I also think there's sometimes this idea where artists are talking a lot of like about how we are the victims of this, which we are, but also we are often also in a position to hire people, and we don't
Sure.
really think about it. I see a lot of my friends who are talking about these things, and then their whole band is men, you know, or like their whole, and it's like, not that they can't be men, but I just mean like if you're speaking about all these things, then I feel like you should have some follow through, you know, and like
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
hire people of color and hire like trans people and hire like women to be in your bands and your producers and these sorts of things. And you know, I like to be consistent, and
You want, yeah, you
so
like to
you know,
walk the talk. I got you. You're like very much like
yeah,
if I'm gonna say something, I want to make sure there's follow through. I'm the
yeah,
same way. Like people are like, "Oh, it's great you have like a lot of trans people on the show," and I'm just like, I don't think of them any different than any other artist I have
yeah,
on here. It's just like I
yeah,
it's not like, "Oh, man, you know, like I'm looking at my emails and I'm like, "Oh, I got to make sure all these people are trans people so I can like raise my clout meter," you know? Like no, I just
yeah,
I'm like if they
no,
write good music, it's like I'm just going to have them on. Like so don't treat
yeah.
them any
But the
different. They're
thing is
just
also
people.
like that, exactly. But it's, and but the thing is like some people will do that. Like they will, some people will treat us differently, and a lot of people will do it without thinking about it. Like, I think, like, I don't think it's a conscious decision for many people. I think most people will just listen to what they like, but what they like is also influenced by, thousands of
Sure.
years
Yeah.
of thinking of art in a specific way with a specific viewpoint that, and so it's also when I've been hiring people for the band, like sometimes it's been like, oh, I can find like a really good guitarist, but like he has millions of offers. Like he's gonna be fine. Like this guy's super talented. He's gonna be fine. He doesn't need my work. Like he's already out there playing with loads of other bands. But then I've like, like my current guitarist, Grace, like she's like literally the best guitarist I've ever played with, and she's so amazing and everything. But she didn't have any like. She's also really young, like she's 21 now, and so she was like 19 when she joined the band.
Wow.
Um, and that was just because she sent me an email because I had made a post on the Facebook group, and she was amazing, but she didn't have any like like she had some experience playing in like little bands, but nothing, nothing professionally.
Sure, sure, sure.
But I met up with her and she was amazing, and she's definitely the best fit for the band. Like that other guy would not care as much about it as she does, um, which is also important. And
Yeah,
she's
sure.
just as talented. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't go out of my way to like try to find that person. But it's also about giving the first opportunity, because now she's being booked for lots of things. Like now, lots of people want her in her band because they've seen her in Reveal Party. Not to take credit for that, but that's someone needs
Yeah,
to
no,
like
no.
take the first step. Like
Oh,
someone,
absolutely.
if I'm not doing it, then who else is doing it? And like we're all in it together in a way. I just think I think that's important to think about. Like just I don't know.
No, no, no. I'll piggyback on that, Emily. But I feel like it's it's the same thing with me doing YouTube. Like, I was literally just talking about this in a previous interview I did today. Was just the fact that like I do this because I know how music has affected my life and how important it is to me, and I want to be able to share these artists that I have on, whether they're you know gay, bisexual, transgender, straight, African American, Asian, white, whatever. Like it doesn't matter, because the real point of it is just like me being able to share music that I enjoy, and then I want other people to check out, because I think like it's just all about the community, like the community aspect of things. Like we all kind of want the same sort of end goal, which is we all want to see some sort of success, whether it be like touring worldwide or like having a big like radio show or something like that, like to help other people out and do better, and so that's kind of what I do here, is that I feel like it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. I want people to know that I love Emily's music. I love the next person I have on's music. Like I want people to know I enjoyed this because I enjoyed the people that I have on to talk about their music and why they love it so much. Like I hope that that experience is shared with as many people as I can. Like I always feel like for me personally, when anybody watches my interviews, I want somebody to I don't even fucking care how much money I make doing this. Like I'd rather have someone be like, "Oh my god, I've never checked out Reveal Party. Like that's awesome. They sound great. I'm definitely going to go give a follow to Emily's band." Like that would make my day, And then if you like messaged Emily and was like, "I saw your interview with Brandon. It was awesome. You're great. I live in Denmark. Like now I'm going to go see her." Or like, I'm a trans person. I like appreciate that you're showing representation. Like, that's awesome. Like, definitely gonna go follow Emily's journey with Reveal Party and stuff like that. That would mean more to me than if someone like gave me like a check for like, $10,000 or some shit. Like that would
Yeah.
be fucking awesome. So if that's any shill, just go check out Reveal Party, links in the description. But like, but yeah, I think that's kind of like the thought process that I have behind it is like, like you said, you give like you want to be able to give the opportunity to the best person that you feel is like going to fit your band the best. And like, I'm,
Yeah.
so glad you're able to do that for Grace. Not only because, obviously she's seen success from Reveal Party, but I'm sure she appreciates the fact that like, just saw her as like, you're talented, like, I want you to part of my group. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like, I'm really not trying to like deprioritize anyone, but I'm trying to like do that extra just work of like looking into what are actually the possibilities, because sometimes, other factors have placed people in front of us who might be the easy pick but aren't necessarily actually the best pick. But my drummer is a man,
Whoa! Oh my god!
and
A
he's
man.
and he's the best person for the job as well. And that was also actually a thing of like, he really wanted to be in it, and then I was like, I'm still going to check out some options, see what works. And then when we came back to it, he was still the best person for it, so it goes, it goes all the ways. It just has to, be the best fit,
Oh,
but
100%.
sometimes it requires an extra look to find the best fit, and I don't think everyone necessarily always does that extra take, you know? Yeah.
Listen, Reveal Party has the best members because Emily has ethically sourced everybody. So, just saying. You heard it here first. I didn't tell you. Emily told you. Just remember that. Ethically sourced. But the next question
Exactly.
I well, the next question I have for you, Emily, is who inspired you to start out doing music? Like, were there any particular like bands or artists that were like you watched them or you listened to them and you're like, I'd love to do music. That would be really sick. And then who influences your style as well as just kind of Reveal Party in general more currently?
I think I've had so many different moments of that, like, over time. I think it would never just be one moment, but it was always, like, small steps of really falling in love with different sounds or bands that kept pushing me, but I can mention some of them. I think my first real, like, I used, because I was such a I'm actually just right now, I'm playing through, the Mass Effect trilogy. Great games. I just finished, I 100%ed the first game. I'm going all the way through them.
Hell yeah.
And, just started the second game, and I think actually, the third game had, like, in the ending, it had, like, this beautiful piano piece, and that was around the time I was, like, starting to play piano, and, like, I was learning a lot of video game soundtracks or movie soundtracks, things like that on the piano. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's just one example. Also, like, anime for a long time, like, I love the, like,
Mm.
Naruto soundtrack, and, like, that got me into playing piano in the beginning. And then later on, like, all the, like, openings got me into a lot of Japanese bands, and then I
Yeah.
was really into that sound for, like, while I was, like, when I was, like, 10 to 12.
J Rock,
Um,
baby. Yeah.
yeah, I love that shit. I still do. It's great. And it's very emo. It's so emo.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that. Yeah. Which is, I think, so I was never an emo kid, but I was like an anime kid. And then I
That is
became an
close
emo
enough.
kid in my 20s. Yeah, it was close enough. Yeah. But I became an emo kid in my 20s after going on this whole other musical journey, because it was familiar in a way, because the emo of the 90s sounds so much like the J rock of like the 10s,
Oh, yeah. I would agree.
or like late, yeah, which is super interesting. You could talk about that for a really long time, but then afterwards, like, I got into, like, of course, gotta have my um B14 and listen to Pink Floyd experience, and then I moved on from there quickly to Radiohead, which was my big obsession for a really long time, was Radiohead. um I don't know if you can hear it that much anymore. I think you can hear it sometimes in
Okay.
my music, but I kind of moved away from it, like, very deliberately, because it I when I was starting to write music, it sounded way too much like Radiohead. And then I was like, I need to not sound that much like Radiohead. So now I think it's subtly there sometimes, shimmering, but not too obvious. And then I got into just so much indie folk. I love, 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 uh, Neutral Milk Hotel and the Microphones and Sufjan Stevens, and then also the newer act, Julian Baker and Phoebe Bridgers, and those sorts of acts were wonderful. And then, you know, got more into the emo stuff, um, with like Brave Little Abacus and Mineral, and I've been listening to so much. This actually more recently, but I've been listening to so much Jimmy Eat World recently.
Oh,
They're so
nice.
good. They're so good. Um, but but yeah, and then and then I briefly became a little bit of a pop girl in my early 20s. I'm in, I'm 25, so I'm not, it's not that long ago. Um, but like in my like 21, 22-ish era, I got really into the 1975
Nice, yeah.
and like Charlie XCX, and also more of the like Sophie at the time, and 100 Gex, and those sorts of bands, which I think are sometimes in there, but not too obviously. But I try to really draw from everything. I also did listen to like I tried to get more deeply into hip hop at one point, but
Hmm.
I always sometimes I don't always succeed. I loved. There's still some records I really love, like um, basically all the Kendrick Lamar records, and some of the earlier like 90s stuff.
Hmm.
And then that also brought me into more of the sort of I got into like Jay Dilla's stuff, and then like from going that way, I was exposed to more like black artists in general, which brought me that direction, and and then like also Burial, and into that like kind of UK garage
Oh.
scene. I love that so much. I really love those sorts of like beats and stuff, which the 1975 also does a lot of. Really love that stuff. Um, and yeah, now I've been kind of stuck listening to a lot of the same stuff. I think it's hard when you're making so much music to also be consuming at the same time. But I'm also kind of accepting that for now, and then I'm hoping that once I've released the next record and need new inspiration, I'll maybe take some time off where I'll be exploring a lot more new music and stuff. But I had this really like I've moved a lot away from music in terms of entertainment recently, or the last few years, while I've had more of a professional music career, because it's too much, to be consuming so much and also be so involved in music just all the time. So I've started listening to podcasts more, and
Oh, nice. Okay.
YouTube videos, and gaming with the sound on, or watching TV shows, and so I watched The Last of Us. That's like
Oh.
probably the art that's hit me the most deeply recently. But I'm recharging. I had a you know I think my Spotify end of year thing shows you how many minutes you've listened, and it was already going down in 21, but in 21 it was like 444,000 minutes, and
Wow.
then in 22 it was 10. So
Wow.
that's
Oh
four
my
times
God.
as little music I've listened to. That's
Whew.
such a huge change in habit, because it was around 60 for a long time, but now, and then it was 40, and then it was 10. So I've really been listening to a lot less music, but I think it's natural. It's too much. I've absorbed all the stuff I have, and now I need to get it out. And then once I've gotten it out,
And you
I'll
listen to
need to
more.
absorb again. Yeah, I think that's going to be a natural process. Yeah.
I feel you on that.
So
As but I also can't relate at all because I listen to so much music because this is my livelihood. So I feel like I
yeah,
kind of have to listen to a lot of music. Um, but I don't, at the same point, I think like my life isn't complete without listening to music. So like later on today, I'm gonna go to the gym and listen to some more music while I'm sweating. So I'm excited to just delve into albums more deeply. Like I feel like more currently, I do like the live, like when the album comes out, I just listen to the whole thing and give my like unsolicited reaction to the entire album. But I often find that like that's not like it's just my initial feelings on the album, and then as I listen to it more throughout the year, then I become a little bit more like I don't want to say jaded to it, but I feel like I become a little bit more familiarized with it. And then by the end of the year, when I
Mm,
add it to my list, I'm like, no, this album still holds up. Where I was like, oh, maybe I loved the album initially, and I was just like, it just didn't really have that like staying power that I felt like it was going to. And I think you have to have that level of honesty with it. Um, Also for the
yeah,
sheer fact that I feel like the only time I really listen to Spotify is when I'm at my job and I can like listen to it at work. But also it's like simultaneously fun to be on the phone and you can hear like some dude like screaming in my left ear, and then meanwhile I'm talking on the phone, and like they obviously can't hear it but I can hear it, and I think that that's hilarious. So shout outs to my job for allowing me to listen to just heavy music while I'm at work, because that keeps my
yeah,
sanity in check. So I I
that's
think
very
that's great.
important. Yeah,
Uh,
but
also,
it's also such a different way you consume it with your job as well. Like, because I, like it, it also, what you do also requires and encourages such a like enthusiasm for what's going on, which I think also create like writing music does. But in different, like, it's also sometimes an important part of like the creative like process of writing music to
mhm,
take some time to like process what you're doing and not just take in all the time, which is interesting, that it's like different. But I also know artists that just, do whatever. And I was doing the other thing for so long, but this kind of I really miss like what you're talking about, because I that used to be what I was always doing. I was such a like curious music listener for so
yeah,
long, but I just had to accept that, that has to come and go a little bit with how much I'm, focused on my own stuff as
yeah.
well. And yeah, so but I get a little bit jealous about hearing you talk about all this. I should listen more to your interviews, and then maybe
Oh, thank you.
that's a way of listening to something, and then that isn't music, but then it'll maybe drive me towards some music.
Some new
So
artists. Yeah.
yeah,
Also,
exactly.
I have to go get something. I love that you mentioned Phoebe Bridgers. So I'll be right back. Oh, and then also Julian Baker, because I feel like I have to. But
Ah,
I grabbed both the, Strangers in the Alps, and then I grabbed Sprained Ankle.
amazing.
So I feel like I had
Great
to give these a
records.
shout out.
Yeah, and those were right, around the time like I also got into them during those first records, so they were the ones that mean mean a lot to me. I do think they have released great records afterwards as well that also mean a lot to me. But they have those were the first records I listened to. They were their first records, so you know. I saw
I knew what
Phoebe
you meant. Yeah.
recently. Yeah, I
I
saw
was
them
there.
recently
Emily
working on
was
one of
there in the first
gatekeeping.
records for Julian Baker and Phoebe Bridgers, just so to let you
Exactly.
know.
But
Iconic.
yeah, but but they were also really popular immediately.
Yes.
It's not like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
were obscure records. you know, because I saw someone trying to gatekeep Phoebe Bridgers recently on TikTok. I hate that I'm sometimes on TikTok, but I install TikTok when I have to post stuff for release, and then
Fair
I get
enough.
addicted, and then I delete it, and then I have to re-download it again for the next release, and it's a whole cycle. But there was someone who was like, oh, I miss when, because Phoebe Bridgers recently got to support Taylor Swift. I don't know if it's
Yes.
already happened, but it was
Yeah.
announced that it was going to happen at least. And then this person was like, I miss like back when Phoebe was obscure, like back when I listened to her so much in 2021. And I was like, what? Like, first of all, she was massive, like in 2020 when her second record came out. But she was already like the thing that got me like listening to her in the first place was like that her third single had come out, and they had millions of views.
Yeah.
And she had fucking like Connor Oberst
Oh,
on like
yeah.
one of her songs, and
That's
I was like, who is this industry plant? Remember thinking at the time, like, who is this person with all these connections? But but just it was still
oh, that's
amazing.
great.
So,
I did
but
not.
I just mean like you can't say that there was never a point where she was obscure. She was always like super famous, I feel, I don't know.
I did not hear about the I did not hear about this TikTok thing. That is amazing. That
Anyway, I
I'm
just
glad I
love
could
when people want to gatekeep and
I'm
they
glad I
kind
could
of
pick up this seminal record that is, of
yeah,
obscurity that most people don't know of now, So well,
exactly.
such a great underrated like local artist.
Exactly. Yeah. Such a great local artist.
Yeah, just such a great
I love
local work. She's
I
really
love
working
Taylor
hard.
Swift when I love Taylor Swift way back when she made Folklore. Like, I don't know, it feels like that to me. Like, it's an equally outrageous statement.
That yeah, yeah. I loved Paramore when they released This Is Why. Like
Yeah.
it came out this year. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
god. Yeah, that's great. Well, guys, if you
But
want to
it's also
geek,
cute, on TikTok. It's all the kids, discovering music for the first time, and it's kind of adorable. So,
yeah.
you gotta I was like that too.
Yeah.
I was so annoying
It's like a deer. It's like
when I was a
it's like a
teen.
deer when like a deer first walks. It's just like oh, that's cute. That's
Yeah.
nice. You'll
Yeah.
find new music and then you'll be depressed soon. So it's all right. Uh,
Exactly.
I'm sorry, kid. We have to keep the fun times going with that joke there. So we'll keep it up. But the next question I have for you, Emily, is if you could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Oh, actually, keeping in the me mentioning Taylor Swift, I have actually been thinking about doing a cover of "Anti-Hero," that
Wow,
song,
I don't
the
think that's a
really
popular
popular
song.
one from her.
Yeah, I don't know who she is. Is she a local artist?
No, who is she?
Yeah.
Who is she? Yeah, she's a Danish artist. If no one knows about.
She really wrote this great.
Let me look. I have a whole playlist of covers. Actually, I have multiple of them. I've thought about doing lots of different ones over time, but then I always fail. But I think it's because um, I'm really bad at imitating other people's art. In the
Well, that's a
way
good
that
thing.
I either do it too much or not enough, and like often a lot of the times when I make a song, I'm trying to cover another song, but failing at it. Like, or not covering like literally, but often I'll be like thinking of another song that I want to make something similar to, and then I fail completely and it sounds totally different. But that's very often what I do. And so I don't think I'm very good at covers because in order to make it even sound like the cover, like the song I'm playing, it becomes too much like it, and then if it becomes something else, then I'm always tempted to just make it my own song. um and so I'm not very good at covers, but I thought also because then I pick really obscure songs because I'm like, it's lame to like cover a classic, like that's super lame to do. But then like, what's the point of covering like fucking I thought about covering like the first song on the Safe and Also No Fear Slaughter Beach Dog record, but then like no one knows that song. Like like
You're
like
like, is that an
you
original?
know,
That's great. I
it
love
has
it.
less than 1 million views, which is still a lot of people. But I'm just being for a cover, it's not like it's gonna bring in the streams.
That's
So
yeah.
I don't know. I have a weird thing with covers. I don't know what to do with them, but I think that it could be fun to cover something very famous and then do it kind of weirdly.
I would agree with that. I think you could hold your own with Taylor Swift. I feel like she could use the help.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
I wanted to try to make
I
that
don't
as
know.
about as convincing as possible.
Yeah, you were very
I did
convincing there, which
not.
is
That was not
okay.
very good. I don't think. But yeah,
It's fine. I kind of love and hate her a little bit. I mean, I love her in some ways, but it's also a little bit annoying. But it's the same with the 1975, who I also adore, but they're also really annoying, you know? But I love them. And kind of the same with Taylor. I'm not at the same level of like really loving her, but because I just haven't listened enough. I've only really listened to the newer records. But yeah, I just thought it could be fun, maybe.
yeah.
Or like even something by Steve Lacy I thought about doing, because I actually listened to that record quite a lot. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I actually did the only cover I've done and posted is a Alex G cover
Ooh, okay.
of Bright Boy from,
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, that's a really good song. What record is it? Beach Music, yeah. Yeah, I love that song. I love that song so much. We did a little cover for Christmas 2 years ago of that
Nice.
track. Oh, one track I've really thought about doing is oh, what's that song called by I'm trying to find it. The one where it's like, "Where are you?" and
Oh,
"I'm so
it's
sorry."
Blink 182. Oh
Blink
god.
182 with, what's
No.
the name?
Oh
I forgot.
god, no.
Blank.
I think it's I
I
Miss You.
miss you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh
I love
god,
that song.
no. Oh no.
Where are
No.
you?
Oh god.
But that would only be something I did live. I would never post it. But then we would do it like all in with the voices.
Where
Like I
are
would do the,
you? Yeah.
"Where are you?" and "I'm so sorry. I cannot sleep. I cannot dream tonight." In something and always. I don't know. I'm not great at it, but I love doing the accents.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
I can also do a really good. I can do a really good Manchester accent because I watched too many Matty Healy interviews from the 1975.
All right, let's hear it.
I can like do like mucking about your mates, yeah. Like when it's like
Oh,
making the record, it was like a sort of thing where like it was like too many. It's like too many. It's like a camel. It's like a horse designed by a committee. Uh, that's that's my Matty Healy
holy shit.
impression.
That was great. Killed it. Crushing it. Guys, Emily,
Thank you.
give Emily some props in the comments. Oh my god, that was great. I don't know if I can give you the cosign on the Blink 182 song just because, uh, God, man, that song. I can only hear Tom DeLonge singing it, and then no matter if people like actually just do it in his voice, I just can't. I can't unhear it. It's just
Yeah,
him, I'll always be
yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's Blink 182. That's Tom DeLonge at his finest. So I can't do that. But I would like to hear the anti-hero cover. I know I was making a joke about her being a very like local and unsigned band, but obviously I'm not a moron. I know she's a it's a joke, guys. It's a joke, okay? It's a joke. All right, jokes. We do jokes
But I
here.
feel like that could be fun, if I do it quite, because I also feel like it's not something that's like that song is not completely like it has things that I would do if I wrote a song. Like it has that sort of like when she's um like she has a lot of like stuff where she'll like sing like quite fast
Yes.
and sort of almost where it almost becomes like spoken word almost because it's so fast and almost like yeah like almost rapping a little bit but it's not but because it's singing but it's like these sort of really fast paced singing which the 1975 also do and I really like that and I do it sometimes too, not so often but I do it. I could and if I wrote a really really poppy song it would and it wasn't Animal Collective-esque it would be kind of this sort of thing. I think I do something similar on Real Girls actually, like the sort of just above the floor, two pair of feet are trying to ignore a bittersweet melody. She tries to be discreet, but a cat is staring like, "Brr, brr." Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not so fast, but it's like a little bit more fast paced from the other vocals. Like I don't know, there's some stuff about that, and then I feel like the theme of it, like being like feeling like you're the bad person that you're rooting for, and like getting other people to root for you, being the like in your toxic era. Like, I don't know. I feel like as a person that also struggles a lot with like abandonment issues and having to, also in relationships struggle with that a lot, I can sometimes feel like the bad person. Um, because and also I've been, in like a not so good situation where I was also blamed for everything, and then I felt like the bad person, and so I relate to that feeling on some level, yeah, and like trying to really care for the people around you, and then sometimes failing, and I think we can all relate to that in some way. We always want to try to be better, to the people around us, and I think that's kind of, aren't you tired of rooting for the anti-hero? You know, that's actually kind of a cute little, aren't you, don't you want to be better? Like, I feel like that sort of statement is quite something I could write in a different setting, maybe. Yeah,
Uh,
maybe I'll do that.
there you go.
I'm thinking
Well,
about it. My label will love it. They love when I do shit like that because they're like, they signed me, remember, with my pop song, and then I've given them nothing like it.
you're really living up to it, Emily, and I appreciate that, So, guys, if you have any suggestions for Emily slash reveal party in regards to cover songs, drop them in the comments. Let her know it's good. Uh, the next question I have for you, Emily, is obviously, if for people who aren't familiar with Reveal Party and are checking you out for the first time, what song would you recommend to a new listener to check out first to kind of give them an idea of your sound?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty hard since I've, gone with this direction of the songs being less important and the record being the most important thing. So I would really recommend people listen to the whole record. But if they're not going to do that, then I'd say, depending on what you like, there are some different ones. I think if you're more into that 90s indie rock sound, like Death Cab for Cutie, those sorts of bands, then I'd say My Boy Part 2,
Mm.
really good song. And also, if you like that sort of emo thing, it started out as a quite folk punky song, and then it became more 90s emo indie rock when the with the band, because the band ended up, this is the only track on the record that the band played their own parts for,
Oh, sick.
so it has more of a band sound. Yeah, it sounds exactly the same when we play it live, as the maybe only song on the record. um so that's a good place to start, My Boy Part 2. Otherwise, if you want to hear something that's more poppy, either Seldom Made or Real Girls, because they are kind of like poppy, but in, you know, with the idea that, like, I don't know, they look shit like Animal Collective. Like,
Mhm.
I was thinking of their sorts of music when I was making pop. Like, it has like Constantly Sway, I'm in Your Way every day. Like, it has like little, like,
Yeah,
it
the
could be like Floridata. Like, it could be a little bit Animal Collective y. Yeah, I think if you like very emo stuff, Anna Out to Sea is a good place to start. It's got that real slow emo riff building up. It even has a reference to Wilco. I have to clear it. I have a
ah,
Wilco sample in there that I
that's
got
rad.
cleared with Jeff. Actually cleared it,
Jeff
which
cleared
is,
it.
it took a, yes, it took like a year to get in contact with Jeff, but Jeff was like, "You can use it," so
Wow.
that's great. Stamp of approval.
Shout out to Jeff from Wilco. That's awesome.
Yes,
I
and
love it.
so I reference, "I'm Trying to Break Your Heart" on that song.
Nice.
I
Okay.
sing I sing like a verse of it. I sing like in the middle of the rest of my own original vocals and melodies and lyrics. I sing like, I'm not, I'm trying to break your heart. It's hard because it's my own," and I have more references as well. So it's a little cute little thing. Indie folky. There's "Wish I Could Hold You." That's very Sufjani or something like that. I don't know. Now I gave too many. If you only want one, then go with My Boy Part 2. My Boy part two.
Well, you know what you should go do, guys, is listen to the entire album Favorite Person. I already mentioned this before, but I'm gonna double down again. Emily's one of my favorite people. So like, favorite people is, one person is a person. So then it's favorite person, and then you should check that out because that's the album title. We're taking this full circle here. Check the links below to go, listen to it and go follow Emily's journey with a reveal party. So
Yeah,
show
and you
number
can, if I
2.
just plug it, I can, on all this stuff. If you think Reveal Party is cool and you like me in life offline, you can follow me online at Reveal Party Online. So that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. All of it is Reveal Party Online.
It's online, guys.
It's online. Yeah,
Like we are online. Go check it
like we
out.
are. Go check it out.
I hope you used at least one of those. I feel like it was like the most terrible commercial, Just like, "Hi, it's Brandon from Audio
Hello.
Addiction. Just want to let you know Reveal Party has a new album coming out called Favorite Person.
I
Check it
haven't
out."
heard it, but it's great. I'm gonna use that.
Oh my
I hope
god.
I have your permission to use that in a promo post
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get
just for
I can't I
Instagram.
can't have I can't wait to get absolutely roasted on the fact that I
I
didn't
was
listen to
just
the
because
album.
I'm gonna do, since there's some reviews that have come out and stuff. There's like the biggest like Danish music media, like Pitchfork of Denmark, basically, but
Oh, very sick.
nowhere the influence, but sort of the biggest media in Denmark with that sort of stuff. Like just reviewed it and gave it like 5 out of 6 stars, and so I'm gonna do like a post, of course, with like 5 out of 6 stars, and like this other blog called it like a perfect record from start to finish with no skippable tracks and stuff. So I'm gonna
Wow.
put that in, and then I'm gonna include yours as well. I haven't heard it, but it's great. Like in between
God,
all the actual
I am
things.
gonna get fucking roasted. I can feel that. Oh no. Oh
Yeah.
no. Oh no. They're like, this dumb American doesn't listen to music. It's fucking shit. God, man. Thank you, Emily, for. I am now gonna be the most hated person on the internet. So, but guess what? I'm not a favorite person. So you should check the links
But you should
below.
listen to
You should
favorite person.
listen to favorite person.
Exactly.
The next.
Well,
Well, you're gonna say, Emily?
it was great talking to you, but it's also almost 11 here, and
Oh,
I gotta go to work tomorrow morning.
all right. Well, guys, go check out Reveal Party. Links below. I have one more question for you, Emily, and then you can
Yes.
do your plug about the band and all that sort of stuff. But, why is creating music important to you? I've been asking this a lot in my more current interviews, and I think it's just a question I love asking now. So it's just in part of the rotation. But, why is creating music such an important thing in your life? Because you could be doing anything else with your life.
I actually think it's important that sort of way where I don't feel like I could be doing anything else. Like I feel like I'm terrible at everything else, but I'm good at this. I really do think it's that extreme for me. Like musicians have a rate of anxiety and stress and depression that it's 74% of all musicians have
Wow.
experienced stress or anxiety or depression related to their work, which I'm pretty sure is one of the highest rates of any job.
That would make
Like it's
sense. Yeah.
really up there. And that does not at all comply with this idea we have of artists being like just doing great and having the best time and living our life and living our dream, like the actual reality of being a musician is like fucking hard. And
Yeah.
because you're constantly stressed, you're constantly anxious that no one's going to listen to your stuff, you're constantly worried about rent. That's also why you got to play so many shows. Thankfully, I love playing shows. So for me, it's like I'm okay with that, but I know many other people who have anxiety attacks. Most times they have to play a show and then they have to play shows because they can't um
Mm,
like not do it because they got to pay rent, you know.
sure. Yeah.
And for me the stuff I have to do is like I want my music to be out there, but I get so anxious in the release process. I'm checking my phone constantly. I'm checking, you know, all the if I'm getting any important emails or people are tagging me or like this stuff. I've gotten a really good manager recently who's helping with that stuff, but there's this feeling that like I would choose to do something else if I could. And I tried to be a teacher for a while, and I do some teaching on the side. Every Monday I teach, which is why I got to teach tomorrow. I teach music. I was doing primary school teaching a few days a week for half a year, but had to stop because of the release
Sure.
getting too busy. And so I do mostly music full time, but do some guest teaching and also the Monday teaching. But I have this idea sometimes when I do that, I have this dream that I could just do that and be satisfied with it. Um, and just live like this more stress-free, happy life. There's just something in me that would never be satisfied with it. I could never do that. I just could never do it.
Sure.
So I think for me, it's not a very exciting answer. It's sort of, I think it's actually to me sort of similar to my transness in a way. Yeah, I could never live that way. Like I could just not choose anything differently. I could try, but I'd be forever unhappy in it, no matter
Sure.
what sort of adversity comes in terms of job insecurity or like in the same way as like being trans, like what comes as like hate crimes, all these sorts of things, fearing for your life in different ways. I have to choose that. I can't choose anything else. I can't choose not being a woman. I can't choose not being a musician, an artist. I just can't do it. So I have to.
No, and obviously I get a whole host of different answers, and I feel like, obviously I don't, um, know what it's like to be trans, and obviously, being a musician is definitely a tough job, so I can, certainly relate in that aspect to this. Um, but obviously the things that you talk about in your music are, tough topics to talk about, but I feel like they're also necessary. Like, there's something about it that just, it comes across as sad, but also in the same way, I think there's just this level of honesty that I feel like is within the music. And while, like I said, I only really listen to real girls, I do find that in that song specifically, like, I felt a lot of, like, connection towards it already, and I only imagine that's the same sort of connection I'm going to feel with favorite person as well, because the way that you go about writing the music is so intentional, that I think it trans will translate throughout the entire album, and I think there will be more songs that I'll be able to find a little bit more connection towards as well. And obviously, I hope that I can go through this experience of listening to it, and maybe finding more appreciation for the things that you have experienced, and maybe find some correlations to how it relates to me personally. I also hope that people that are either in the trans community or beyond that, beyond the community as well, is that hopefully they can find stuff that might find meaning to them within this type of music as well. So I feel like for me, like, it's important for me to kind of promote these people, not because I have the need to, or feel the need to. It's just that, I know it's like something that's important to me. I love the LGBTQ plus community. I think they're amazing, and that's not me trying to shill for those artists. I genuinely feel like they put out great work, and their artistry is equally, if not more important than some of the other artists out there. So make sure to go give Emily and Reveal Party some love. I know usually end it more on a slightly positive note, but I feel like we joked throughout the entire thing, so like there's a good mix of both. But Emily, I'm gonna leave the floor to you. Tell the people where they can find Reveal Party at, what you have coming up next, and anything else you would like to plug.
Thank you. Those were some quite beautiful words.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I'm on, you can on the social medias. I'm not on Twitter because that's a complicated medium for me, and no one in Denmark uses it.
That's
And
fair.
it's burning down anyway, as far as I hear. But I'm on the Instagram and Facebook mostly, at Reveal Party Online. And then it's on Spotify and all the streaming. I mean, my label is required to put it on all the streaming. So if it is not on a streaming service that you want it to be on, write to me because they are supposed to put it on there. So it should be on all the things. It should be on. It's also on Bandcamp. It's not on SoundCloud because it takes up a lot of space on my thing. But it's on YouTube as well. Bandcamp, all the streaming. I have physical things.
Physical things. That's amazing. Oh, that's awesome. Amazing.
Beautiful record. It has all the parts
Wow.
because it's 3 EPs that have been combined into one album. And I got booklets and I got T-shirts and I got all the things, but I don't have a web shop for it. I only sell them at my shows. I'm sorry, but you can DM me and maybe we can figure something out. But
All right. I'm gonna DM you,
that's all the
Emily.
stuff. I got a tour in Denmark in April, and then we're gonna do more stuff internationally very soon. Hopefully, also gonna do some stuff in the US. There's
Woo.
all the visa stuff that's
Ooh,
complicated. But I actually have 2 American artists that
two.
I've been talking to. 2 different ones that I've been talking to about going on tour with in the US. So it'll be in more than a year probably because we need to figure out visas and also plan the tour. So, but there's a planning for touring in the US, but then also in Germany and different places, Norway, Denmark.
Different geography.
And there will be a live record. The live version of the album will come out sometime the end of this year, probably, with also a full session. And then there's a record probably next year. So
Wow.
lots of stuff.
Woo. Well, listen, guys, we have made it to the end of this interview. Listen, if you're not on the Reveal Party train, then this is the stop to get on right now, and then we're sending this shit to next year. I'll tell you what, Emily's got a lot cooking right now, as she just mentioned. So listen, you want to get on it right now while the going's hot. So please go check out Reveal Party. I'll leave all applicable links in the description. Also, go pick up the record, and if you live in Denmark, go hang out with Emily because I can't because I live in the States. So,
Come hang out.
listen, come hang out at the show. And then also,
I'm always in the merch booth
always,
after every show.
always,
I'm always selling that merch. And you can come say hi even if you don't have money to buy merch. You can just come say hi. I love talking to people.
but you should buy something, support artists. So go support Emily. At least buy the CD. Like that's like at least buy.
Yeah.
Listen, listen. I
Yeah.
understand the shirt thing. I have so many fucking band shirts, but I'll do it and I'll buy it from Emily because I think she's great. So you should go check out Reveal Party. Awesome band. And I'm very excited to listen to Favorite Person, which you can go get now. It's out now. Go buy it. Go pick it up. Go support the fam here. But if you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. Go a long way. And huge thanks to Emily for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun. Really fun.